Evelyn stood there, surrounded by the sound of idling engines and the smell of fuel and leather, her eyes wide as tears rolled down her wrinkled cheeks. The scene didn't feel real. The same small-town gas station where she'd spent years alone, forgotten by the world, now filled with men people crossed the street to avoid. Yet every one of them looked at her with quiet respect, like she was the most important person in the world. Ghost took off his vest, the one with the Hells Angels patch, and draped it gently across the counter. "You know what this stands for, Evelyn?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "People say it stands for trouble." He chuckled. "Sometimes it does. But not today. Today it stands for loyalty. For family. You looked at a stranger and saw a person. That's rare, ma'am. That's real." One of the younger bikers stepped forward shyly, holding a small wrapped box. "Ma'am," he said softly, "we pitched in and got you something else." Evelyn blinked, confused, and unwrapped it slowly. Inside was a brand new cell phone. Simple, sturdy, already charged. "We saved the number of our garage in there," the young man said. "If you ever need anything, groceries, rides, or just someone to talk to, you call. Doesn't matter the time." Evelyn's lip trembled. "I can't believe this," she whispered. "I don't even know what to say." Ghost smiled gently. "You already said it yesterday, when you handed me that $5. That was all the talking that needed to be done." The men began to pack up their things, but Ghost stayed behind, taking one last look around the dusty old store. "You said your husband used to fix cars, right?" She nodded. "He was good with his hands. I just couldn't keep the place up after he passed." Ghost smiled, the kind of smile that hides 1,000 stories. "Then let's fix that too." Evelyn frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" He whistled toward the door. 2 more bikers came in carrying a hand-painted sign. It read, "Evelyn's Service and Station, Angels Welcome." Her hand flew to her mouth. "You didn't." He nodded. "We did. This place deserves a new start. So do you." The entire group erupted in applause as Ghost set the sign on the counter. For the first time in decades, Evelyn's laughter filled the room, shaky but bright, full of life. "You boys," she said through tears, "are not what people think you are." Ghost chuckled. "Nah, we're worse." He winked. "But not to you." As the roar of the engines started again, the ground shook beneath her feet. The townspeople stood outside watching, not in fear this time, but with something like admiration. Evelyn clutched the angel wing pendant around her neck, her heart full. "I'll never forget this," she said. Ghost gave her one last nod, his voice low and steady. "You don't have to. Just pass it on." The roar of the engines faded into the distance, leaving behind a stillness that didn't feel empty. It felt alive. Evelyn stood on the front step of her little gas station, the morning wind brushing against her face. The men were gone, but the echo of their kindness lingered like a heartbeat in the air. Lena's breath caught in her throat. The biker's voice was deep but calm, like he wasn't threatening her, just stating a fact. Still, it made her heart pound. I can't just leave," she stammered. "This is my bakery." He glanced around. The lights flickered again, and the cracked display case buzzed softly. "Doesn't look like it's been kind to you," he said. "When was the last time you had a day off?" She hesitated. "I don't remember." "Exactly," he muttered. Then, his tone softened. Lower, steadier. "You remind me of someone. My sister. She used to bake too. Never asked for help, even when she was drowning." Lena swallowed, unsure how to respond. What happened to her? He looked down at the counter for a long moment. "Cancer," he said quietly. "Took her fast. She worked till the day she couldn't stand. Said people needed her bread more than she needed rest." The silence that followed was heavy, but not uncomfortable, just real. Then he looked up again, meeting her eyes. "You're coming with me," he said again, but this time softer. "Not because I'm telling you to, because you need to." Lena frowned, confused. "Where would I even go?" He smiled faintly, the first hint of warmth breaking through his rough exterior. "I own a diner outside of town. We've got room, good food, people who'll treat you like family. You'll bake there, but you'll also live there. Eat, rest, laugh." She blinked, still not sure if he was serious. "You'd really do that? For me?" He shrugged. "You offered me kindness. I can offer it back. World doesn't work right unless we pass it around." Her eyes softened. "You don't even know my name." He smirked. "Then tell me, so I can say it when I tell the boys who's baking their next pie." "Lena," she said quietly. He nodded. "Name suits you. Now, Grab your apron and whatever you can't live without. We'll come back for the rest later. She hesitated, her mind spinning. You're serious, aren't you? He grinned, stepping back toward the door. Dead serious. And hurry, my boys are already waiting. You don't keep bikers waiting when there's food involved. Through the window, she saw them. A line of bikes glinting under the morning sun, riders waiting patiently, helmets off, curious smiles on their faces. Her heart raced. I can't believe this is happening. He opened the door, the bell jingling softly. Believe it, sweetheart, he said. You're done surviving. Time to start living. The townspeople, who had watched from across the street, began to drift closer, hesitant at first. One of them, a young mother holding her son's hand, spoke up softly. Mrs. Evelyn, were those really the Hell's Angels? Evelyn smiled, brushing a tear from her cheek. That's what their jackets said. The woman looked around at the groceries piled by the door, the new sign hanging over the station, the fresh coat of paint some of the riders had started before they left. And they did all this for you? Evelyn nodded. They did. Because yesterday, I gave one of them $5. The mother blinked in disbelief. Just $5? Evelyn's smile deepened, her voice steady now. Sometimes, $5 is just money. But sometimes, it's the only proof left that goodness still exists. She looked out toward the open road, where the horizon shimmered with heat, and for a moment, she thought she could still hear the faint hum of engines, distant, fading, but warm. Over the next few days, things began to change. People who had ignored her little gas station started stopping by, some to buy fuel, others just to say hello. Word had spread fast about the widow who helped a biker and how 20 angels rode in to return the kindness. The shop was cleaner now, brighter. The shelves were full. The phone on the counter, the one the bikers had given her, buzzed every few days with a short message. Sometimes it was just, "You good, Evelyn?" Other times, a simple, "Keep smiling." And she always replied with the same words, "Ride safe, boys." One evening, as the sun began to set, Evelyn locked up the station and stood by her husband's old truck, now fixed and gleaming under the light. She touched the angel wing pendant hanging from her neck and whispered, "You'd be proud of them, Henry. Of all of them." A tear slipped down her cheek, not from sadness, but from peace. Because for the first time in years, she didn't feel forgotten. She looked toward the road one last time, smiled, and said softly, "Sometimes, angels don't fall from heaven. They ride in on Harleys." If this story touched your heart, share it. Because kindness doesn't always come from the ones you expect. Sometimes, it comes roaring down the road in leather and steel, reminding the world that one small act of goodness can still change everything. Lena stood frozen for a moment, her heart caught between fear and disbelief. The sunlight streaming through the bakery window lit up the flour dust still clinging to her apron. She looked at the broken oven, the stack of unpaid bills on the counter, and the quiet emptiness that had been her life for so long. Then she looked at the door, where he stood, holding it open, waiting patiently. His eyes weren't cold or demanding. They were steady, safe. With trembling hands, she untied her apron, folded it neatly, and placed it on the counter. "My mom used to say," she murmured, "when life closes a door, don't wait for it to open again, find a new one." He smiled. "Smart woman." "Yeah," she said softly, grabbing her small purse and a photo frame from the shelf behind her. She was. They stepped outside together, and the sound of engines filled the air, deep, roaring, alive. The ground seemed to vibrate beneath her feet as she took in the sight of a dozen motorcycles gleaming in the sun. The riders stood beside them, all wearing the same insignia, Hell's Angels. One of them grinned at her. "So this is the baker?" "Yep," her rescuer replied. "Boys, this is Lena. She makes magic with sugar." The men chuckled, tipping their heads respectfully. "Then she's family already," one said. Lena's nerves melted into awe. She'd never seen anything like it. A brotherhood built not on fear, but loyalty. Her biker, whose name she still didn't know, handed her a helmet. "You ride?" She shook her head. "Never have." He smirked. "Then hang on tight, Cupcake. We're talking the long road." The nickname made her laugh despite herself. "Cupcake? Really?" He grinned wider. "You'll get used to it." As she climbed onto the bike behind him, her hands hesitated before resting lightly on his jacket. He reached back, giving her wrist a gentle squeeze. "Hold on for real," he said. I don't want to lose the best baker I've met in years. She wrapped her arms around him, her heart racing as the engines roared to life. The sound was wild, beautiful, like thunder that somehow promised safety. They pulled out onto the open road, the wind rushing past her face, the bakery growing smaller behind them until it was just a speck in the distance. For the first time in forever, Lena felt something she hadn't felt since her mother died: freedom. Hours later, the convoy turned down a long stretch of road leading to an old diner on the edge of town. The neon sign flickered above the door, Angel's Haven. When they stopped, he turned slightly toward her. "Welcome home," he said simply. Lena blinked, staring at the glowing sign, the warm lights inside, and the smell of freshly baked bread drifting through the air. "Home," she whispered. He nodded. "Yeah, you belong here now." Lena stepped off the bike, her legs trembling, not from fear, but from the rush of everything that had just happened. The air around the diner smelled like coffee and rain-soaked asphalt, and the neon sign above the door buzzed softly: Angel's Haven. Good food, good souls. Inside, the place was warm and alive. The jukebox hummed quietly in the corner, and the walls were lined with photos. Men in leather vests smiling beside families, kids on bikes, old friends laughing. It didn't look like the kind of place you'd expect bikers to run. It looked like home. The man who'd brought her there took off his gloves and said, "Sit wherever you like, Cupcake." She smiled shyly. "Are you ever going to tell me your name?" He chuckled, hanging his jacket on a hook. "It's Mason. Mason," she repeated, tasting the name like it belonged to someone she could trust. "You really meant it, didn't you? About me staying here?" He nodded. "I don't say things I don't mean. You've been fighting alone long enough. This place, it's for people like us, folks the world gave up on, but we didn't give up on ourselves." Another biker, older, gray beard, kind eyes, stepped up and handed her a mug of coffee. "You bake, don't you?" he asked with a grin. Lena laughed softly. "Every day since I could reach the counter." "Good," he said, "because we've got a kitchen out back that's been waiting for someone who knows what they're doing." Mason leaned closer, resting his elbows on the counter. "You'll stay here as long as you want. You'll bake, we'll sell your pastries, and you'll have a place to sleep. No bills, no rent, no noise except the road." Lena's eyes filled with tears. "Why me?" He gave her a small, genuine smile. "Because yesterday, you asked me if I wanted to buy a pastry when you could have asked me to leave. You saw a person, not a patch. And in this world, that's rare." The jukebox changed songs, a slow, soft tune from another time. The other bikers started joking, cleaning up tables, one even fixing a flickering light above the door. It felt less like a gang, more like a family who had built their peace out of chaos. Lena walked behind the counter, her fingers tracing the polished wood. "It's been so long since I felt safe." Mason nodded. "Get used to it. You're one of us now." She smiled through her tears. "You know what my mom used to say?" He raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" "Home isn't where you live. It's where someone's happy to see you walk through the door." Mason grinned. "Then you're home, sweetheart." That night, long after the lights dimmed and the last motorcycle engine faded into the distance, Lena sat on the diner's porch, staring at the stars. Her apron was new, her heart was full, and for the first time in years, the future didn't scare her. She whispered softly, "Thank you, Mason." Inside, a note hung on the wall above the counter, handwritten in bold letters. "Sometimes family finds you on the road, and sometimes it walks into your bakery. If this story touched your heart, share it. Because somewhere out there, someone's fighting to hold on to hope, and all it takes to change their life is a little kindness, a warm meal, and someone who refuses to let them fall."